Hello, my name is Griselda and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like cozy mysteries, if you like middle grade books, children's books, or just a good story, then I invite you to subscribe and to follow. On today's video, I have 3 books for you and possibly 1 movie. The first book I have for you is called Summer of the Woods. This book was written by Stephen Smith and it is part of a book series. I believe there are 11 books in the series. I've only read 2 so far, but they are really good, so I am going to keep reading. This story is about 2 brothers and their family who have just moved to Virginia. The 2 boys decide to go exploring the woods behind their home. And on one of the trips, while they're exploring the woods, they find an old coin. And they take the old coin back to the house and they show it to their dad and one of the neighbors. And they believe that it is part of a museum collection that was stolen years back, but that no one ever got back. The museum never recovered the treasure. And so one night, one of the brothers discovers a hidden piece of paper. I believe it's like a map. And they decide to go back into the woods and look for the treasure. They meet some other characters in the book that are not friendly. They get into some trouble. However, everything ends well. Nothing bad happens to them. Well, that's all I can tell you because I can't really tell you more than that. But I really enjoyed the dynamic between the father and the 2 boys, and the mother's also in the story, but she is sort of in the background. You mostly get obviously Sam and Derek. I also enjoyed the adventure and the excitement in the story. The amount of danger is just right. It's not too much. You could see something, I want to say it happened like this, like in real life. This book reminds me of National Treasure. If you like that movie, then this book is, I believe even if you're an adult, you'll like this story. It's full of facts, it's historical facts, American history. So yeah, I really like this book. I do think it's a great read for summer. The next book is called The Penderwicks. It's about 4 girls and their dad has made plans for them for the summer. However, these plans don't come through, and so he quickly has to make some other plans. And he ends up leasing a cottage for the summer behind an estate called Arundel. They get to the estate, and the girls right away go exploring the grounds. They get into some trouble. There's an incident with a bull. They also there's other situations that they get into throughout the story. They meet Cagney, which I believe is the gardener or groundskeeper. And they also meet the cook and Jeffrey and Jeffrey's mom, Mrs. Tipton. Jeffrey's mom, Mrs. Tipton, however, doesn't really like the girls. And that's where the problems start. She has really strict rules about them not trespassing into the garden and into that area of the estate. However, they become really good friends with Jeffrey, her son, and they start spending a lot of time together. They go into the attic of the estate and they start exploring the house. And also, they find out that Jeffrey is really upset and doesn't have a good relationship with his mother. His mother recently has made choices that he does not really approve of, and that would also affect his life. Jeffrey also takes the girls to meet the cook of the house, and she ends up liking the girls and having a good relationship with them. the girls end up being invited by Mrs. Tipton to a party that she is throwing, I believe, for Jeffrey. In this story, nothing really big happens. It's not a really complicated plot. It's basically about the four girls that are sisters and how they spent the summer. The biggest, I guess you can say, life-changing event that happens in this story happens to Jeffrey. It doesn't happen or affect the girls. What I didn't enjoy about this book was how the dad seems a little bit off in the distance. He doesn't really seem present in the lives of the girls, even though like there's moments where he's like talking to them. But while the girls are getting into these different situations outside of the cottage while they're exploring, he doesn't really, seems like he got to the cottage, he basically went to his office and he's there most of the time. So he doesn't, I feel like there's like not a strong connection between him and the girls. The other thing is Rosalind, the oldest daughter. I feel like I'm not really sure if that's how a 13-year girl could actually be like. In the way that she feels like she's too mature for her age. Like in the book, I understand that they lost their mother and she's sort of kind of taken on that role. But even then, I feel that the way that she is portrayed is a little bit too mature for me. Like I didn't really find that could be possible in a 13-year-old. Even between the other sisters, sometimes I feel like the language that they are using is not really how really sisters would talk to each other. However, having said that, I would still recommend this story. This is what I would call a cozy summer story. I would read it again. This book is part of a series and it is written by Jean Birdsall. And I am going to read the next book. I believe the next book takes place in the beginning of fall. So I am going to be reading it and I'll let you know what I think. The next story I have for you is called The Green Ember. The Green Ember is about Heather and Pickett. They are brother-sisters. They live in the woods with their parents. They have a baby brother called Jax. And their father loves to tell them stories about where their family came from. And one day, their house gets raided by some wolves, and their house gets burned down to the ground. Pickett and Heather end up running for their lives, escaping, and their mom and their dad and baby Jax get taken away as hostages by these wolves. And Heather and Pickett, while they're on the run, get helped by another group of rabbits. While this is going on, Pickett doesn't have the greatest attitude. The rabbits that end up saving their lives take them to an outpost that is called Cloud Mountain. When they get there, everybody is happy, or so it seems, to see them arrive. However, there's a group of them that don't like them and they don't like their family. And Heather and Pickett don't know why. They just know that there's something more going on, something that their father never told them had happened in the past. And so they end up staying at that outpost. Heather and Pickett are still trying to figure out what happened to them and what's going to happen next. However, Heather, being an older sister, is able to handle it a little bit better. Pickett, on the other hand, is having a lot of trouble. And his character is selfish and self-centered. I wasn't really sure I was going to like his character. He is even angry at the rabbits that saved him. In particular, one of those rabbits, he is really upset at just life because of everything that happened. And I feel like he acts like he's the only one that has lost something. And so he doesn't really support his sister. So I wasn't really sure if I was gonna be able to like him. However, he does get better as the story goes. I really enjoyed seeing them, Heather and Pickett, grow and mature with the help of their friends and the elders of the community. And these new friends actually help them make better sense of what just has happened to them. The story does end up slowing down a little bit in the middle of the book. There is a lot of internal dialogue with Pickett and Heather, and just trying to make sense, like I said, of everything that it has gone on. I know that because this story is about woodland creatures, it might not be for everyone. I know some people don't really like that. However, I found it to be exciting, and I found that even as an adult, you could still enjoy this story. And there's also a lot of fighting scenes, a lot of sword fighting, and there is a lot of real danger and real life situations. This book is written for children, so because they're animals, I think that you're able to incorporate that level of danger. This story is not just about Pickett and Heather and their family, but it is way bigger. It is about a kingdom, an animal kingdom, and it is also a story about what happened to that kingdom and their king. So I really enjoyed this story. I would recommend it. I am going to read the next book in the series. This book is written by S.D. Smith, and I think it's a really good summer story. And really quickly, I would like to tell you about one movie that I've recently seen called The Sheep Detectives. I'm sure you heard about it. It's on Prime. It is with Hugh Jackman and other famous actors, and it has a small town setting, and Hugh Jackman, being the shepherd, he gets murdered, and the sheep are going to find out who did it. There is a lot of different suspects in this story. It has humor. There is I found a little bit of a sad part in the middle. Someone gets hurt, but the movie ends up in a happy note. They wrap up things really well, and I really enjoyed it. I do think that this is a good summer movie. So if you haven't seen it, you should go ahead and watch it. So this is where I'm going to end my video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till the end, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.